go anywhere fishing without it. It works all over the place. I literally have caught fish around the world on this thing. And first thing we want to do is go ahead and just put down a thread base. It's probably the hardest thing about tying a soft hackle is working with the hackles. We're going to be using mostly Hungarian partridge hackles tonight. And we're going to put a little tail on it, and that's what this big long feather's for. You want maybe a half a dozen strands or so. It doesn't need to be real heavy tail, to where it looks like about like that. Okay? Tie that thing in there to where it's not sticking out there too far, but not too short. Somewhere in between. How's that for being very, very definitive, isn't I? Make sure you keep your tail on top. See, this is a soft hackle, so it's going to stream down. And we'll clip the excess off here. We'll tie that down. Now we're going to take and tie in the gold wire. The gold wire is going to be the rib for this fly. And I like to take and get it tied down in there. I kind of keep it up on top. These things are pretty straightforward to tie. Get that tied down good. Get that back out of your way. I like to use a little dubbing wax to help hold it on. This first section of it that we're going to rib, we're going to carry it out to right about here, about 2/3 of the way out on the shank of the hook, because then we're going to put the wire rib on it, and then we'll build the thorax, and then we'll put the hackle on it. And this part of the fly, you want kind of a sparse on the dubbing. And you want to dub it pretty tight. This is going to be a little bit heavy here. These flies, soft hackles I fish on on the swing, so to speak. You kind of cast upstream at about a 45, let it follow down through the drift to about a 45 if you're facing directly across the river. And about the point where it starts to lift up, that's when you're going to get 90% of your hits. So we're going to put a little bit of a body on this thing. Bring it down here. It usually takes about an inch to an inch and a half. If it's tapered a little bit, carrot shaped, that's good. It won't hurt it. As a matter of fact, that's good, real good. And we'll just take about 4 to 5 ribs with the wire. As you can see, these things will tie pretty fast for you. And we'll take and tie that wire off.
That isn't your run-of-the-mill dubbing, is it?
No, that's my own blend. What I do is I buy the Hare's mask, and then I take and I blend it to the colors that I want it. I have a real light. This I call a medium, and then I have a real dark. So it takes about 2 or 3 of the Hare's masks to do it, and what I use is a coffee blender. Now we got the body on it. We're going to put a rib on it. Or the rib is on. We're going to do the thorax next, and there I will dub a little bit heavier, quite a little heavier, about like that. Make sure you leave yourself enough room to get this hackle tied in there and put a head on it. And we want a nice fat little thorax, just about like that. That's a little big maybe, but it'll tighten up. Now we're going to put the hardest part is coming up, the hun hackle. These things are a little bit fragile. One of the things I learned because I'm going to strip part of this off, Always clip that end, otherwise it peels that quill down to where you don't have anything left to work with. And don't try to peel it all at once, just do a little bit at a time like this. Until you get down here to where you got about, if you look at that hackle, it's about the length from the eye of the hook to right in between the point of the hook and the bend in the hook, and that's really what you want. Now, because this, in Scotland they call these things spiders, and be patient taking these off to where you get down to where you got one side. Otherwise that quill will split out on you. Then take this thing and you want to tie it in by the tip, and I tie it in.
Ask a few things here, Bob, real quick. You're tying that in with the dull side down, right?
Dull side down, yep.
And you stripped the feathers on the
side that I'm going to wrap around.
The
You'll
side.
see I'm going to wrap that counterclockwise, so that's why the hackles are stripped on the back side. You get I found for me, and there's a couple different schools on this. Some guys tie it in by the quill. I tie it in. I learned to tie it in by the tip over in Scotland. You know, get those extras off of there.
And say again, dull side down?
Dull side down, so the curve of the feather, when you wrap it, the feathers naturally tend to come back.
Okay.
Okay? That's a little sloppy there, but we'll clean it up in a minute. Now, I use this kind of a hackle plier because it's really, I do a lot of soft hackles, and it just seems to work really well for me. This is the fun part, because I'm a little nervous yet. Very gently, bring that around like that. Get these hackles to open up a little bit. Just a little bit more on that one. And you're going to find that you're going to want, because I stripped half the quill off, you're going to want about 2 wraps. And then tie your quill in.
That's one thing I've always heard from the British is that we over-hackle our soft hackles, right?
Yes, we do. There, I'm going to show you here in just about 2 seconds, as soon as we put a finish on it, and clip that hackle off. Quit shaking, Robert. There we go. Clip that thing off. Now, kind of work those back a little bit. Toothbrush really helps for this. Kind of pull those back a little bit out of your way. Put a few wraps on there, and we're going to put a little small head. Using the 8/0, it takes a few more wraps to get there, but you also get a few more wraps when you're tying in materials to keep them nice and solid there. And put a whip finish on it. And this fly, I've used it from New Zealand to Iceland, Austria, Germany, Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, all over the U.S., from one coast to the other. We'll clean that up a little bit around the eye there. But now, and that is, if you want to, put a little head cement on there. Make sure that eye is good and open. And now I'm going to show you why they call them spiders. If you look at the end of that fly, what's it look like?
Yeah.
Spider legs.
Yeah.
Almost everything that anybody ties around here. Hi there, young man. How are you tonight?
Good.
Welcome. It looks like a spider. And that fly, I would not be on a river without it in my fly box. if I was to be limited to 6 flies, it was all I could have. For years, that's all I fished with. In my fly box, one of them would be the Hare's Ear soft hackle. The other patterns are in here. A partridge in orange, a partridge in green, and a partridge in yellow, and a Sills midge. And the one other fly that isn't a soft hackle, but goes back a long time, and I've been fishing with it for over 50 years, is the old-fashioned Dan Bailey muddler minnow. Because they'll take that as a sculpin, they'll take it as a grasshopper. And if you said all I could have was 6 flies, that's what I'd have. I'd tie all the soft hackles in a size 16 200R, and the Dan Bailey old-fashioned muddler minnow would be in a size 10. Anybody got questions about how we tied that fly? Well, let's tie one. You didn't get one of these.
Thank you.
That's got all the patterns in it, a lot more than what we're